I've been really talking to for the last few months, and we've been trying to work out something. And we had a wonderful workshop here at the museum's galleries for the last 2 days. And first time we had a workshop which was only for students of College of Art, MFA Part 1 and 2 painting. And I hope that students have learned a few tricks and techniques of how to experiment with paper. And he's not only a painter, he's a sculptor, installation artist, and loved by his friends for his parties, for his friendships, for his original thinking, because all these younger lot of artists are actually bringing our country on an international platform, apart from the masters who've done their work, which was kind of part of the process of evolution of India after independence. But these are the younger lot who are actually really doing the cutting edge work, for which, because they are actually real representative of the modernity that India is going through, the kind of progress or maybe lack of progress or whatever issues are concerning our society in today's world. These are the people, including Iranna and Subodh Gupta or Atul Lodia or Sudarshan Shetty, Jitish Kalat. These people have brought India at a level when people who have been born in India and practicing their art in India are taken very, very seriously, be it the galleries or the art critics or the historians or people who are actually running all those biennales and triennales in the world over. Thank you so much, Iranna, for being with us today for the last 2 days and sharing your thoughts and ideas with students and also your techniques. Thank you, Pooja, for being with us. Now I invite him to kindly come on the stage and share his work with us. Thank you. We have prepared a lot of memorabilia items of his artworks, and I hope that some of you would benefit from it and buy a lot of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Divanji. Actually, you giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts and my work, and maybe I'm too young for this. I can believe this, to in front of all these big artists and great people, So I'll try to just wanted to show what I just done in last 20-25 years, but particularly I'm showing in last around just giving some brief, which is from 94 to until here. So I just selected some of work in that lot, So maybe when I show my work, maybe I can. It's more easier to be talk, Without the work, it is difficult to tell everything. So this is a work particularly I started, in 94, which is I normally like to work very large scale, like 6 feet, 10 feet, I always get a freedom in that, So create the surface, the one thing, this is particularly, I'm just giving an introduction of bit of surface, about the surface, which is, see, I used to work on the canvas, and Divanji mentioned just now, I keep on experimenting with the material, like even paper and canvases, This is a particularly I chosen material when, so it was in 94, which is that's the trucks used for the tarpaulin, which is very thick material, which is very tough, and it gives you very tough surface, So I was very fascinated with that, because that gives you more interesting surface, and it creates some its own natural surface on it, So that's why I chosen this the particular canvas, it's canvas or tarpaulin basically. The reason is that which is I have kind of nature, which is I have some. I recognize that I'm not a smooth and small and very kind of flower kind of man, I want to be that I wanted to connect to the work which is kind of I have nature. Anyway, I'll show you some. This is basically work, which is I was connected my old memories. It was a time when the beginning you starting work, you are always working on your memories, which is you bring something, what you have seen, what you try to get. There was the farming field, which is cut off the farms, and which is the farm which is a kind of hull, there is one piece cutting out coming from there, It was very interesting to create the space which is that piece of the hull and which is the same, it's a kind of pyramid, which is makes you, so that between the both the two object gap, it is makes me more interesting. That's why I created this one. So this is the same time which is I working, this more interesting. There is one, the rope is coming out from the ground, there is one man, the man form is there, which is I think it keep on, I was playing with the human and humanity, and it's with the nature, with the object getting from the nearby, So this is also there is a two connection between two humans, and there is a connectivity each and every one, which is, because you are always connected each other, which is the time was like that, which is you are finding some kind of subject matter, and you are definitely you try to get into, you always try to get into your from within you, So it is simply like that, which is we are connecting each other, how we breathing, so you don't know, I can't see my breathe, that is another person also is inhaling and outtailing. So it is somehow it is connected. I was just wondering that, it is how we have been connected each other, So the same time, which is I was also very much aware of that, which is your childhood experience, which is man made by this particular, this work has been titled, man made by flesh and bone, So it's nothing remains, you are just, you have to live, you just being as a human, Somehow, I mean, I just trying to get, the pant is off and shirt is there, So I just try to first, it's more the curiosity over there, just remove that first. Then you will come to the point, simply, that is the main thing, You always come with a nude and go with a nude, That was the whole thinking which I was, This is basically you just recognizing, just playing with your. Yeah, again, it's a bit an abstract form, each form is coming out and putting it, which is, it creates that the most of the form, whatever we see, even you see temple, you see a mosque, you see a pyramid, that kind of form, I was very fascinated of that, This is also again, which is I was but trying to hear, there is the grains, there is a empty chair and there is a horse, trying to symbolize as a power, and which is I was the connecting, the early work, which is again it's an empty chair. So which I think I was trying to hear something which is more. Without a figure, I try to bring something, which is create a dialogue in between, that is, it was in, I was just thinking about that, that's why it's called, I think, some historical chair. I'm coming to the point, about this work, I will come to the point, there is later on, there is some more works on King series, So this is again, and so connecting, I know unknowingly you are connecting the political or social life, because you are not trying to bring, but it is happens actually, because living in this society, you are consuming everything from here only. So that's definitely its effect, and it is create the time and period, so that's why I think I realize, I think today maybe I am realizing how it is bringing, This is a watercolor, I experimented with paper and charcoal powder. It was very, very early, 90s, At the same time, how I was mentioned, this work I did in London, which is when I visited the museum, it's a palace in London, which was more like I saw Kohinoor, it was bit something which is, I felt, I just felt, that, the queen is very important for the whole England, so I just manipulated with the portrait of queen on from the currency. So I create, and there is particularly one portrait which is I decorated with the Indian jewelry, So I just try to symbolize, queen is celebrating her birthday on Indian ornament, Yeah. So same, sorry, this again, this is the same, it is some, I just unknowingly, which is the portraits, which is bringing you, there's more expressions, there is more unknown person you are coming around, which was more like, photo shoot, This is called, I think, yes, where is your motherland, So, which I try to bring, the creative form, there is a head, everything is coming in your head, which was the head was made by maps, It's, again, it's unknown maps. Yeah, I'm just I'm just again connecting that, man made by mud, and which is, I tried to, it was bringing the king series, we keep on fighting, we keep on murdering people, killing people because of the power and land and money, So again, I just somehow, it is I just narrated this kind of form, Yeah, that's written in the Urdu. It's called. I think I forgotten the name. Abha. I think that the meaning is that the blind. Behind that, the blind kings. They are supporting each other. They are standing each other. There is one dancer, and there is a full of have freedom, but there is a king which is the masked, which is helpless king, So there is two. I always like to be playing with the two contrast element, which is one is very fully freedom, one is very conditioned. He conditioned in himself, or even I play somehow, space in the space also, the active space, non-active space, So there is a dancer is full of have a freedom, and then again, see, sometime you don't need to tell everything about the art. It's very difficult to tell each and every detail, but something is art. That's all about art, which is you feel it, you're narrating different way. I'm narrating different way. So I always like to narrate yourself the way you want, This again is a connecting, which is the children's. I'm coming to the point, again, this slide becoming bit early, So how the innocent coming into a certain society, how they become victimized, So this is the starting, beginning somehow, the children just praying, unmasked, So this again is the game and the mask, I always try to bring the certain kind of subject to bring into different way, I try to say it different way, there is one person standing without mask. It sounds like the teacher or leader or so it's not, it seems, it looks like that, This is actually, I think this was my first sculpture I have been started in, I think 2005, yes. So this work particularly, it's a silencer, silence, it's called silencer. So there is the actual silencer is in down, which is the silencer job is to be the loud sound to make it more lighter, it's smoother, nicer. So I just try to connect the human frustration. They want to scream, they are not able to scream, they always pushed, in the corner, This is the installation view. See, it's music and there is the earlier also the conditioning and the freedom. I always play with that, So there is one person behind. He's struggling to drag the grain bags. There is a tiger. I like to somehow so playing with a kind of theater stage. Which is I used to enjoy theater, which is there is one corner there is. Person is sitting and there is one corner is very active space and non-active, So I always try to bring the composition figure. I try to explain itself, instead of I give more explanation on it, especially there's so many figures playing violin and in only one cloth, it connects so many things, it touches so many ways, which is they are all connected to each other. They're standing on graveyard, so again, they're creating their own space, which is it is very much some kind of it's a very the frustration, or you can see it's a suffocation, which is I try to bring that feeling, So these are the element I always motives I get into bring this level, Yeah, you can see. So again, it is the same way, the reading and the candle is there, everything is there, but they're completely masked, So I always I don't know. I mean, I'm commenting on or the what is situation in this world, today's time, which is who's the person who's creating violence, because I always try to tell that violence which is from the king and from the whole history. Just open a whole history, there is always so somebody some innocent victimized, some innocence victimized, but normally the person who's creating a violence is always sideline, the mostly innocence becoming victimized in this kind of act, So I try to bring here that sensibility, The one thing I want to tell, there's very standing on the edge, and I love to see, there is a whole, the standing like there's a football team, kind of do or die, we're ready to take a jump or whatever it is, So even the other special, so I always like to work in a larger scale, which is, this is particularly, I think, around 14 feet painting, I think 13 and a half feet painting, and 6 feet height, 5.5 feet height. Yeah, again, I just try to, here is connecting the music, the Sufi and so, which all there is a journey which is you keep on bringing some certain activities, So here also it's the same, so one person normally carrying, supposed to carrying one mic, there's one person have at least a 4-5 mics, which is, that is the way I try to create some tension on it, and suddenly there is a helicopter, army helicopter is flying. So again, the music and that violence, so so always kill evil, the one evil, killing another evil, This is a small sculpture which is something on 4 feet by 3 feet. I always like to use this gunny bag, so it's because you're more connected in those kind of material, because you've grown up with that material, you've grown up with those bags. So when you put into work of art, the whole idea will change. So this is again the one sculpture, it is a installation, you can see one behind, the same one, it's a detail. So it's a posture is a praying, you are surrendering yourself, So again there is a kind of wheel which is, I noticed that particularly this, the wheel pedestal, which is, I saw in Bombay, which is the beggars use that, so which is handicapped, they can't walk, so I try to bring that sensibility, the how the become a handicapped, which is, we're surrendering everything, we're ready to suicide ourselves. This is my studio view, the same work. This is the final. There is around 10 figures, it's creates like a train, and you can compose the way you want according to your space, that is a flexibility is there, and they are life size, it's this again is, the standing with the for the prayer, it creates so much of noise, it's, so the kind of tension which is there, it's so many wires on the ground and so many speakers on everywhere, and you try to bring your peace in yourself within you, so that is how you create things, it is, I think it's man-made creation, I believe, this is one sculpture which was normally works in clay, there's a white clay, so I have to create a sculpture on clay, and then you have to take a mold, everybody knows mostly, but I just try to show how it's, because sometime, always, we shows the final product. So this is also, the process also is very important for me, so the way I enjoy in process, that is ultimate, the final is always there, the process, and you forgetting yourself, your involvement and your depth and your challenges, so the more struggle, and that is more interesting, than the final work, that's why I always enjoy the process, So this is particularly, I went to Hapur, near Delhi, so I bring that the cart and the belts, and so I created according to that, I wanted to create that the donkey which is exactly, which is what I see in Hapur, so this is also one more, the donkey which is, this particularly, this I want to tell you the very interesting story. So I wanted to create a very the actual donkey, actual donkey means I want to make it as it is, So that was very difficult because I can't make as it all the cuts and curves and eyes and even each and every bone and structure. So what I did, I hired one donkey and donkey man for 3 days for the modeling. So we feed it, usko घास भी खिलाया, आदमी को खाना भी खिलाया. Then I made the modeling for 3 days. Then that is said. Why I'm telling you here this is, so that's a craze, that's the passion, that junoon, you enjoy that. So even again I create on the fiberglass, then I put that toy fur, it's artificial fur, it's maybe it's acrylic fur, So I did a haircut, like a barber, kind of barber, I did a haircut because the donkey has different area, different hairs, there is in the stomach there is more hair and the top there is less hair, So I did a haircut for 3 days to 4 days, Then I painted it with the acrylic color. That is also very difficult, which is the acrylic color gets joint, it creates like a glue, So we have to remove until dry, we have to rub it, This is the final product. This basically I called it this wounded tool, which is I bring, this the farmer and even gardener, even carpenter, even all the this class, their bread and butter, the tool is more important, So the tool itself is becoming wounded, I bandaged, the tools, which is becoming wounded, So that's how I think. I don't think so. I need to explain on it. When you get wounded, you are on a rest. So that is I try to comment. The donkeys itself is I symbolized as a innocent. As an innocence. Like a child or like any other innocent person or animal. But the donkey, for me, I was very fascinated that donkey is more innocent animal. The reason is that when I was child, nearby there was a Kumar, So he's such a poor man, he used to, he don't have the rope to be tie up the donkey, He used to just go and touch the leg and he just rub it, The donkey thinks I was tied up, that's so much innocent animal, it is. So that's why it was in my mind, when I was from childhood memory, So that's why I chosen the donkey as a innocent element, Yeah, this is detail of that wounded tools, This is the gallery. This is another version. The same donkey I use this tiger skin, So it's he thinks it's very powerful, And that metaphor, changed the whole idea, the donkey is becoming a tiger, This also, there is a 5 feet, the bells, the tongues are tied up, The bells itself is creating a sound. I particularly choose the bell, I could have used any other music element also. But the bell is more like, you have been grown up with that, more like it is a spiritual element, even church, temple, even wherever you see the bell, there is, we have some different feeling about that, So that's why they both are tied up with the black cloth, So which is, there is a soundless, they can't create a sound, Yes, sir. This again I bought that one boat, which is actual boat, colonial boat. I cut that and I make it round and I created a form on it, then again it's wounded, which was the whole idea. Whenever you see whatever, on the road, there's an animal, you died by accident, you always dragged and put it to the side, from the road, So that was the whole idea which was in my mind, which is the boat itself is to helping to the people, to cross the river, they make the boat makes cross river, that is it's becoming round, it's not able to, it's becoming helpless, the same sensibility I am bringing in this form, You can see it's a dragged, I made this. I don't have an installation view, but I'm just showing you. This again, I just made this series, it's a afternoon sacrifice, which is how we become victimized, The blind man is playing with a bull fight, which is, I have some 3-4 painting on it, I will show you. There is more, but I'm showing some. So then you will make out, how that element I use, See, basically in my work, I'm using these iconic or this element, these forms, I'm not, for me it's not something, actual bull, it is, I just utilize according to my idea. See, there is one, the statue is behind, this, the standing with the yoga posture, and see, it's, I want to create that, the whole theatral quality, which is, it's all action is going on. Suddenly, there is a very fragile, it's a more nerve-wracking act is going on there, This one sculpture, which is, again I made it, that is, I'll show you another view. So this is, it's called Make Sure You're Breathing, That's particular written, the God is witness, it's written in Urdu. This actually, it's this, which is, in a British colonial time, this bag used to use for the water, water bag. So it's actually, this is the actual goat, which is, you can see the neck and you can see the tail, So that's how because you have to cut only one area, because we want to use that bag particularly to use for the water, and water should not be leakage, So I use that form, particularly I created as the bunch of, the kind of, the grey bunch, This was in my studio, lying, it looks like suddenly, it's animal. So I know I always look at the each and every sculpture, it gives you more real and more feeling, which is, the form itself is, says so many things, So sometimes you are not able to, what it's saying, able to understand, but which is, we have some dialogue within one object and you, So that I always like, even it's not only me, So whoever see any work, I love to be, if they reacted, I always think, my work is something which is, it's creating some noise or creating some dialogue within other person also, because it's more active, it has soul, I always feel like that, because itself just create some voice. This is installation view. There is one more installation which is I am going to show you, that also the similarly, This I made it, around 20 figure, which is there. I normally I don't make any layout for the final work, I start with some kind of mysterious image, in my mind, So I try to follow that mysterious image, So I create, and it's very constructively I work. I enjoy working with the spontaneity, changing the subject, changing the composition, changing the whole sensibility of the work, I enjoy that. That is very interesting to me, to change the composition sometimes. This was the first idea which was, okay, have been created, So then I thought, no, it's not working, no, see, it's creating some different the dialogue again, but I didn't enjoy much, just try to change it, So here, this is, it's a detail, sorry. So how I just trying to tell, how it's detailed work, the each and every sculpture, So finally, I tried this way, So then even this also the third step, which was didn't work. So finally, I just created this, Yeah, it's I'm trying to. What I'm trying here, which is there is a sitting in all. Everybody is sitting in a group, but they don't have a dialogue each other. They don't want. I mean, they're not connecting each other. They're very much individual. See that makes you more. They have more worry within themselves. That I'm trying to bring here. They're not. See if two person is creating the forms of creating a dialogue, there is some between there is some kind of happiness or what. There is some different aspect to there. This is basically there. Everybody has their own worries. Individual. They are sitting in a group and they are very much alone. So this is the earlier something slide has been shuffled. It was supposed to come a bit early. So again, it's there are the tools which is fall down, overloaded and overburdened. The whole that cart is fall down. Donkey is also on up. This is the same form I use in a different way. So this is I worked. I don't have the video of this work. This is basically kinetic work. Every 3 seconds that donkey jumps from the ground. So which is try to stand up with that whole big box. The black box. So I don't have a video because they're all mechanism under the donkey, which is every 3 seconds it's try to hiccups. It's try to stand up. You can see this. So it makes you it's a donkey is still live. These are the form again. I'm using that the spiritual guru use that particular sandals. So which is I just played some of element on it. Which is I made in an installation. I say there is two element. It's nothing. The both are found object, and it's a half burn object. So which is you feel it. There is hunting image. That's I'm trying to bring in. There is two object. That reaction. So you can feel it, that it's the sandal is becoming as a human form, Again, I made that, very thick standing, that sculpture, and it's becoming can't wear, and the pedestal have a wheel, that can be movable, This is quite interesting. It was that photographs is not very good. That is all the veins coming out. From the one. It is like it's called stretched object. That's the whole. Those are installation view. This again one more installation. This is actually I use. It reminds me, which is when I saw everyday news, that was when the Bombay happens, VT station, everywhere there is a chappals and sandals and lying everywhere, so there was so much of hodgepodge and there was so tension, so but that was, and mostly they are unknown sandals and they are half, so I try to bring here, these are sandals are half burned, they are actually half fired, which is bunch, which is, and there is one siren light, you can see that in that red, I just create a tension, that's the whole sensibility I want to bring in the within Indian gallery, this installation, so they're all the lying, the still object are lying, all the sandals are lying, and suddenly that siren light, there is no sound, it's only light, it creates more interesting of the whole installation, This is also similarly I composed the different way. Recently I put this work again in New York show. So I connected, you can see something like, in the Jallianwala Bagh, in Amritsar, everybody trying to climb up the wall, There is, I saw when the bullet shots there, So which is a create that, So who was that? There again I am trying to, those are all by innocence, So I am not trying to tell here, the same what I saw I am created here. It's a kind of a sensibility it comes, It's because you conceive everything from the society. When you see the spot, when you see the old fort, when you see the emperor, like Hampi, and there is another place like Mahabalipuram, something. So you that history always, affecting on you, This again one is that's a kinetic object, which is it's a Gandhi Charka, which is takes a half movement, it's kind of heartbeat, So I think I called it this the heartbeat of revolutionary object, which is this the symbolic the object is given us the freedom of to the country, So that is gone to be ill, and that is hospitalized. That has become an ill. That is I am trying to bring here, and it is interesting is it's taking heartbreak. There is a sound. I'm sorry, I don't have the video. I didn't bring that video. So it takes movement. It's like moves. Try to move the wheel. But it couldn't move. But it is only hits certain object, This again, see, I use there is some of you can notice so many things object which is I use for the according to my concept, here also this Buddha sculpture is I symbolized as a piece, which is those trunks which is traveled, when you childhood, you are so much of your sentiments with that, So again, there is that's a clip which is which called, when you bone get break, the supports from the what it's called, I forgotten the name, that's it's called piece and pieces. Yeah, you can see. This was the whole sculpture. So I try to reassembling piece, which is the broken bone, you try to heal it, This is again a scaffold. See, some monks again. It's on. I'm actually used as that the symbolic, that's the object. For me, it's an object to form a subject, which is like, for me, it's a peace object. So whenever I see the monks, you have some different feeling, So we have some respect, we have some purity. So I just try to use that purity, how and how it is. I mean, it's nothing to do with any Buddhism or nothing to do with any monks, basically. So that sensibility I bring, and that is for me is a piece. How it is finishing. How it's we are losing that piece in our society. So I will make this mask. It's very very large painting, like something around 5.5 feet by around 16 feet painting. I think 16, 17 feet. So it's when you see the original painting, it's come other end to another end. You are becoming a part of the painting, because it's a life-size figure. It's becoming like that. So you becoming a part of the group, and it's a mass. It's a whole group, and you how you call it? It's the moment so many good people also gathering together, so there can be a riot. So you get that feeling. They can become a violence also. So I just try to balance both sides. Yeah, that's again at that scaffold and creature. I use that basically this monks. Which it's called. We called bhikshu. There was an idea which is. The bhikshu is it's a very question mark. They are receiver or they are beggars. It is completely a state of mind, which is you think I am giving a begging or I am taking a blessings. It's same act you can describe different way. So it is completely up to you. How you think about it. Yeah, just pushing each other. Again, there's I think introduction of the tree. Which is again I look at the same way. The tree is becoming human. So there's a that looks like that's it's creates like a backbone. They are also they are all bhikshu patras. I joined together, and there is a dead roots and there is a live tree. So both are there. There is red and there is a live. That's actually a live tree. That's not a plastic. So I just creating that sensibility. I'm just try to touch the whole. So there is a life and there is a death as well. In this whole process. In this journey. This is a sculpture. It's a jet aeroplane and it's an actual tree. This is the one. Maybe you don't see the kind of the form which is the trees become this kind of bend. It's only the possible when you make it. From the small tree you temper. It's that's why I called this the temper tree. Which is you create the tree. That shape in that shape. This again it's a paperwork. See, I always explore that and I exploit the material, see that there is fragility and sensitivity and there is very strong depth in between, and it is there is story also, the narration also creates sometime, This is very old work. I am just trying to show you here, See this kind of the tree, the object which is, I think this is I done it in 90. No, it's a 2002. I made this tree in Pragati Maidan. So today is just a 2004. Again, I am connecting the same root. So which is the tree element which is not new in my within me, So that is basically that was what I did in particular this work. That's a canvas. So the whole canvas roll I have been covered. So I painted on that roots, the way they are, and it's becoming a tree roots, but the canvas it's becoming a merged in a that roots, This is quite, quite large work, something around 7 feet work. Yeah. See, it's a form itself says, it's a over flowered, The flower is supposed to be such a beautiful thing, it's over, it's become over and it's the whole tree becoming bent, This one watercolor, I just created a carpet. Again, I am connecting that the design sensibility to the nature, This is actually carpet, It's again, when you use the carpet maybe I think this is called prayer carpet. I believe, So there is deleted, even that carpet also deleted the design, I removed the whole the design by hand, So I just connected to my watercolor. This is the half is that's a watercolor and this is the actual carpet. And the carpet has been tempered, which is I removed that patches, white patches. This is one quite large work, again. This is something like 16 feet, I think. This is one actually the kinetic work, which I made that the creating marks on the wall, marks left behind, That's that actual tree I coated with a graphite, So it creates a line on the wall itself, It's natural, the way they want, like this, I think I will show of this video, hopefully. So it creates the marks, and it's keep on going on, this is a wall drawing which is again the same tree, I really enjoyed to work, that that's new surface for me, creating a drawing on a wall and it's melting, and tree is melting. Here is particularly there is one plug and there is just commenting on the urban area, so cutting the tree, making the urbanization, and it's for me it's a tree is becoming like I always symbolize it as a human, So here is a wire and there is actual plug. I just connect it to that plug, so the tree is getting the energy from the electricity. So you can see some more detail. The same drawing. I think that was in Delhi. You know, this was in last show in New York. You know, I did it and again there. You know, yeah. So how I made this video. So try to bring the dimension on it, you know. So curve wall, other side also. Thank you.
So what a wonderful journey. Like this is not something which we'll say that is very beautiful or very, meetha meetha, sundar, the concept of art which has been kind of circulated around for decades. Many people are still teaching that kind of a thing, that art is all about having beautiful things around. I'm sure many of us would not be able to sleep for a few nights after having seen this kind of work. That is what actually art is meant to do. It is meant to actually, make us think, make us actually ponder over what kind of times we are living in and which direction our society is moving into. And if you look at the concerns, be it religious, political, historical, as if he's going through millions and millions of years of human kind of existence and trying to still find its feet and roots. And this is his concern about, be it nature or the animals and our sensitivities, how are they kind of tampered with, how are they affected by sometimes self-inflicted, sometimes by others, which is what a scientist does, which is what an artist does. And that is the idea behind bringing artists like Iranna to the city, so that we not only kind of share the thoughts, but also change the mindset of all those who have a kind of a kind of a determined idea of what art should be like. Because art has moved from, in the decades or maybe in the last 50 years to taken quantum jumps. So that is the idea. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Iranna, for sharing
Thank you so much,
all these
Devanji.
thoughts with us.
And thank you so much for your patience,
Thank you so much. And now I'll invite questions.
I observed most of your sculpture works were in fiberglass material.
Yeah.
Is there any specific reason in choosing that?
Not at all. I think I did it in a bronze,
Though you also use other materials, but
Yes, I used a bronze, I used a wood also. So I didn't show some of here as well. So it's actually I use the material according to my concept and my idea. So what idea demands, particular material it's required. So sometime, in 3-dimensional, sometime in 2-dimensional has a different effect on. I mean, it's required sometime. You enjoy 3-dimensional, so a particular form, particular idea. So I create according to the idea to choose the material. So yes, fiberglass is more easier. Sometime it's easy to dry. You get quick result as well, and it's easy to carry. So the whole idea is to be creating a sculpture sometime, to transport easier. So when there is more possibilities, I just explore that. Yes, the fiberglass is sometime, it's makes more easier things.
Most of the series, it was a series where everybody's masked, it's covered. So you did say that you feel that there is certain things in society, and you feel that a person is he can't get out of it. So do you personally feel that it's impossible to get out of it? Or do you feel that that's how the person is, that's how we are in real life? Do you think that's your thinking that you're showing here, that you feel that there's no hope? Or are you trying to say that there is hope? That I hope you get what I'm saying.
Yes, I'm getting it.
Yeah. So I feel that everywhere you don't show the face. Is there a particular reason why you don't show the face?
Number one, I'm not trying to just first basic. I'll try to tell you what I'm basically how I gone through that. I don't want to identify a person particularly. See, he or she or that or this or that, what community, what society. So number one that. So number two, so which is we have been masked so many things. Something. I just recently met one guy. He said, the Gita is completely violence. He never read the whole Gita. He took what he want. See, that is how they think. So that is how we make the different meaning on it. You create a more different meaning. We mask the whole thing. So that is not actually. I mean, there is everywhere. Even Quran, even Gita, even the Bible. There is everywhere. There is a violence, and they come over it. The violence, they don't read that, they only read the violence. So it is basically, it is again it's a tempered, again it is a misused, the way they want, the same thing they can misuse. It's a mask, so that's why I try to bring that mask, so it's untold stories, unwanted stories, which is behind there, so it's not particularly anybody. It can be. I don't think so. I can say that you can come out or you come out there. But it is a artist is basically to conceive things. He's just committed thing.
So
but I am not a director to tell everyone to be go this way. There is.
What you're showing is that everyone has their own interpretation.
Yes.
Of what is happening.
Yeah.
In life. Okay.
Sir, one of your works, it's called Piece in Pieces, where a sculpture of Lord Buddha was kept on toolboxes, and his face and entire body was covered with these tools. I didn't really understand what it tried to signify by the Lord in those toolboxes.
Number one, I don't use as a Lord. Okay. Number two, for me, the Buddha is the form of peace, because I want to bring one form for the peace. I use the Buddha's form. I mean, even I haven't seen what Buddha actually. So we are trained like, this is the Buddha. So we have been made that, this is the symbolized as a peace, he spreaded peace all over the world, So I just used as a form that. So again, there are actually what it's called, it's a stretch, I forgotten they are external fittings, which is fixtures, yes, you are right. So that's actual medical fixtures, I bought it from the medical shop, So I make it some more real and non-real, certain, So if you remove the Buddha simply, you remove the form, only keep the that external fittings. So that can also possibilities was there. That would be more abstract, but I have to keep support certain. So that's why for me, even even you make it empty also, it's giving the same feeling. So that's how I used. Again, there's a trunks, it is a towel, it's a symbolized, it's all over the world, which is bring, your sentiments, it's a toolbox, So they're all the supporting element, which is to make the concept very strong,
I am very impressed with the body of your work that I've seen today. As Diwan Manna said, today's artist is not out there to create a beautiful work, but out there to disturb the audience, stir some kind of thought. It's meant to be provocative. It's meant to be, in some ways, shocking. My question, this doesn't apply to your work though, but I've been watching work of your contemporaries in some way. And sometimes, what is supposed to be shocking or provocative also becomes gimmicky, right? How do you take care? I mean, since I didn't find too much of gimmick in your work, but I do find gimmick in the work of a lot of your contemporaries. That might be my personal judgment.
No,
I
that's
do find it
fair
gimmicky. How do you kind of make sure that your work is provocative and shocking and not gimmicky?
See, you already use the word gimmick, you understand what gimmick actually. So, you already understand what gimmick, So, the gimmick cannot be hidden, you can't be hide, The simply, So, what is the gimmick? Gimmick is supposed to be hide. You already recognize the gimmick, then what is the secret,
I mean, I'll not name names, but I think
you no need.
There are people who, in my judgment, and my limited judgment, are very gimmicky and yet have become very celebrated artists. I mean, there are lots of galleries in the West, for example, which do display a lot of very gimmicky work. And it's short-lived. I mean, 50 years from now, when the history of art in the early 21st century will be written, they will probably not be anywhere. But they do sell, they're able to do these things. In your work, what I found interesting is that you are able to provoke and shock without becoming gimmicky, which I think is a great virtue in a sense.
Thank you so
and
much.
there must be something in the way your mind works and the way you conceive of work that you are always able to kind of not become gimmicky, while lots of your contemporaries do. That's my comment. So in a sense, it's a compliment to you. But in a sense, there's a question hidden in it.
It's this question actually I tried to, you might just wanted to even share with you. I always try to, whenever I do my work, I try to put my 100%. See, the moment you try to putting your 100%, so whatever you are, maybe you are a bad guy, you are a good guy, you are thinking wrong, you are thinking jealousy, you are thinking beauty.
Is there, I'm sorry to cut you short. Is there any work that you at the end find a little gimmicky and you sort of not display it or not, reject it, so to speak? What's your rejection rate of your own work?
Yes, I think I reject when I'm not happy about my work. Simply, maybe indirectly there is a gimmick, no doubt about it. So gimmick cannot be hidden. I understand so early stage, So gimmick is only the gimmick, You cannot make a blind other guys, They're more intelligent than you. They understand more than you because so you can't hide certain level, Maybe you can cheat 1%, 2%, the third person you can't, It's a cheating or gimmick. I'm not putting same place both word, But again, maybe the people enjoy that gimmick. Maybe people enjoy to making fool others. So maybe that is their concept. You never know, it's very difficult to me to comment on it, So for me, so the gimmick is for me, it's not easy job, I don't want to be put a gimmick because you are absolutely right, when you have tried to put in my 100% and I try to remove that gimmick first of all. So that's why maybe you saw that,
When you are transcending the boundaries or transcending the, especially in the case of painting, We all know that there was a talk that painting has outlived its life. Paintings, when installations art started coming in, there were many people who were saying the painting is now past. But look at him. He has actually given new meanings, and he's created such a huge body of work with, like, you do not really feel that it's painting. It's a two-dimensional surface. He has taken you deep into it, and he takes you out of it. So this is actually what creativity is all about. Because sometimes when we are learning in colleges and elsewhere, we are not really putting emphasis on the creativity aspect. We are emphasizing the technicalities of it. So that's why, like most of the artists, you had seen like Jagannath Pandaya. You listen to Kamath, and many of them are not really as comfortable in the language English as many others are. But look at the work they are doing, because this is their language. They do not care. Here, he is communicating in English only because he thinks the audience might understand that language. He might have been probably more comfortable in Kannada or maybe Hindi. That is only his way of communicating, but his actual real language is this work of art. So this, as you said, when you reach that level of creativity, like people who in sciences or pure mathematics, when the mind functions at that super level, supernatural, so I would say, but that kind of a level, so then you are like above the surface. You are rooted into it, but then you can see what is what, as you said, gimmick, then you would not really venture into it. But then he made a very small short comment.
Yeah.
That was that sometimes maybe that is his idea. He wants to kind of knowingly play the game. That artist's maybe idea is that. So maybe that has to be seen through that filter. I would really welcome if our younger people ask questions. Doesn't really matter, because we are not sitting in a seminar, in a university kind of an atmosphere where you have to use that kind of vocabulary which is postmodernism, this and that. So you can ask questions, the simplest of the language, which you can form a question in your mind with. So please do that in future. That is an open kind of welcoming kind of a thing from me, because do not hesitate. These questions are very important, no matter how foolish they might look. People laugh, let them laugh. You have a question, you are seeking an answer, you must seek an answer. Thank you so much, Iranna.
Thank you so much.